And this is going?
It's going.
Okay.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another YouTube video where in this one, as the title suggests, I ran an all-out 5K. I'm joined by my good friend Spencer Brown. He's back visiting from Boulder. Some of you guys might know his YouTube channel, The Athlete Special. If your thing is watching someone run park runs in a banana suit, this is the channel for you. But I thought it would be cool to have Spencer here because we go way back. And when I was just a runner before I started triathlon, we were training together a lot. So he's got a lot of insight into who I was as a runner before and the delving into triathlon and kind of getting not as good at running. And now it all comes full circle because it's been a while since I've run an all-out sort of running effort. So yeah, we're just gonna let it roll. So Spencer, you're very familiar with this loop, starting out on the Green Lake bike path. I'm here. This is my buddy Walter. He runs with Club Northwest. I met him actually through triathlon. He's going to pace me through the first mile and a half, 2 miles. I told him to try to go 450-ish. 448 per mile is 15 flat. And I thought on a good day, I could probably break 15. And you can see he's gapping me a little bit, like 200 meters in. And that's just the difference between a runner and a triathlete. Like they've got that just speed over the first 200. But I want to sort of explain to you what the session was. It's simple. My coach just put 5K time trial. That's it. There's no like warm up, do some this, and then, all out 5K effort. It was just 5K time trial. And I'm training 29 to 31 hours a week in this training block, which is about 6 weeks long. So my expectations for this were quite low, honestly. I was like, if I run 15 minutes, it's a really good day.
It looks kind of windy outside too a little bit. I don't know if it actually was, or if it's just the Seattle dreariness. But I mean, these 5K efforts have become my jam in the last year, so I'm probably the perfect person to kind of analyze how this is going to go. But it seems like this guy's doing a pretty good job pacing you through the first. Oh
yeah, it was perfect. I just got right on his shoulder, and I felt pretty comfy early, which actually felt nice. And I'm working out in this is the On Cloud Boom Echo 3, which is a carbon shoe, and I don't really ever work out in carbon shoes, so I knew I'd have like a bit of a bump. My training for this, like I all year barely did anything faster than threshold, or it's hard to even call it threshold. It's like 70.3 pace, so 320 per kilometer, 520 per mile. I would just do like 10, 12, 15 by 3 minutes, sometimes 6-minute reps, sometimes closer to 10-minute reps, but mostly 3-minute reps at just 520 pace. So I'd only done 2 weeks of work faster than that. There was like a 10 by 1K in 304 average on the track. And that's kind of why I was like, oh, okay, if I put on carbon shoes, let's call it 5 seconds per kilometer. That gives me 3-minute Ks. That's 15 minutes. So that's kind of why that was my goal. And you can see I'm already coming up on Walter's shoulder. We're probably about 1K in, not quite a mile in. So I knew already that I was feeling pretty good. I do want to mention that today's video is brought to you by Lumen. Lumen is this tiny little handheld device, which is a personal metabolic coach. It's 2024, almost 2025, and as the future goes, technology gets smaller, faster, and more efficient. And to get the data that Lumen gives you, you used to have to go to a lab and get what's called a metabolic cart. And the metabolic cart would tell you how much fat you're using and how much carb you're using at any given pace. And that's kind of exactly what Lumen does. You breathe into it first thing in the morning or before a workout, after a workout, and it gives you that information, how much carb you're burning, how much fat you're burning, and it gives you a measure of metabolic flexibility. So I've been using this every morning throughout this whole training block, and the insights have been really interesting. After recovery days, I'm closer to a 5, which is super high carb. And after really, really hard days, I'm usually closer to a 1 or a 2, which means I've depleted a lot of my carbs, I'm burning fat, And I use these numbers to gauge how much I need to fuel each day, how like focused I really need to be with my carb intake. Because if I wake up and I'm at a 1, I don't just change my training. I really have to be hammering the carbs because I know my muscle glycogen is pretty low. So on this morning of the 5K, I actually didn't take a measurement because I didn't want it getting into my head at all. And I knew that this is a Friday morning. I would probably be pretty low carb because Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are really big days. The day before I was actually a 1. So I'm glad I didn't look because I wasn't thinking about it at all. But this is a really, really helpful device for me to know how focused I need to be on carb intake that day and my fueling. And even if I'm at a 5, I still need to focus on it. But I have an idea that I'm fully, like, my glycogen stores are fully up and I'm good to go. I'm going to have a good day. If you guys want access to these data and insights and take control of your metabolic health, go to lumen.me/ariclau for 15% off. Again, this device is so easy to use. You just breathe in and then out first thing in the morning into this device. It's got a CO2 sensor. And that site is lumen.me/ariclau for 15% off. Let's get back to this 5K. We are a little over a mile in, and I have fully pulled up to Walter. I think I actually have about a quarter step on him right now. Now, Walter's sandbag is that he's done 2 hard run sessions this week. I haven't. I've done a lot of bike and swim work, but this is only my second hard session of the week. Oh, and here I am pulling ahead.
Yeah.
You know when that happens. It's just...
Yeah, whenever Ari kind of smells blood in the water, he starts to kind of get ahead. Even though this guy Walter is just trying to help him out, I feel like he's done his job really well for you, honestly. But dude, this is impressive considering you have tights on, a long sleeve, so it's clearly not like ideal warm weather conditions out. And, you know, it's hard to kind of get excited for these time trial-y type efforts when, like, you're not racing. But, I mean, Ari has a very, very strong foundation as a runner. He was a very, very solid runner not too long ago.
4 years.
And
it's been 4 years.
You're not slow. Ari's fast. Ari has, like, 4-minute mile speed. And, you know, very fast 3K, 5K ability.
It's funny you bring that up, though, because I ran a couple 200s earlier, like a couple weeks before this, and I just destroyed the last one, like effort-wise, and I ran 31.9. And I looked at the watch, and I was like, that's slower than my 3K PB pace. So it's like the difference in, and this took me a while to figure out, because like there's so much ego involved with running when you are like, you have this definitive measure every lap you do of a track or every rep you do of a run workout of how fast you're going, and you're always trying to line it up with like your effort. And when I started triathlon, I was getting slower and slower and slower. I was getting stronger. Like I was able to run 6-minute pace for a really long time, easier than I ever had, but I couldn't, it was kind of hard to run under 70 seconds for a 400, which was like, I could do that for a 10K, like not that many months prior. And a lot of that is just fatigue. So my fatigue management or my fatigue resistance is way better than it used to be. Like this is just a random session. I did this off the bike too. I biked before this. This is just a random session, like a no hype session in the middle of a 30-hour training week in the middle of a huge block for my biggest race of the year. So, but it's just different the way that you have to be as a runner for 70.3 and Ironman triathlon. Like I'm not fast. Like I could barely run under 35 for a 200. Like it was hard, and running under 70 was hard. But here I am running basically 71s for 400s. Just like over and over again. So it's like there's almost a second threshold kind of that it's like I can't go very fast anymore, but I can still run close to that max speed for a really long time, I guess. But still, this was a surprise. Like I didn't think I was going to be feeling good at 450 pace. I thought it was going to be an absolute struggle.
Yeah, I think also you could get back that more fast feel in your body. When you're doing 29-hour weeks of training, like I can't even imagine how I would feel physically. Like I'm sure that you just feel sloggy on most of your easy runs, but it's cool to know, yeah, that you can run close to 71, 72 pace. So like 445, 448 pace. Not all day, but like for a hard 5K effort. And I don't know how many other guys in the Ironman world have that ability. There definitely are some.
There's a few. There's this guy, Hayden Wild. So he's from New Zealand. He's, I would say, the favorite for this race in 70.3 World Champs. He was second at the Olympics. He primarily does draft legal, which it's not a different sport. It's a very different discipline. It's like almost like being a 1500 runner versus being like a road runner. Like you could transfer one to the other, but it's different preparation to sort of optimize for those events. He ran 13:23 in like this year in a track race, and I think it was like 9 or 10 days before a really big triathlon. So it was in the context of his triathlon season. So it's definitely possible to be that good of a runner. I don't know actually how many, like Morgan Pearson, obviously, he ran almost under 61 minutes for a half. Also a draft legal athlete. As far as pure 70.3 athletes go, like, I don't want to toot my own horn too much, but I do think as a pure runner, I'm pretty up there. Like, yeah, there's not that many guys who in the middle of a big week like this would just go out and run, under 15 minutes. Spoiler alert, I end up running 14:46.
Damn.
Yeah, so we're about 4K in right now. It's definitely hurting, but I negative split this whole thing. These paces over here on the bottom right are like they're jumping around. Like I think at one point it said I was running 4:10 pace. I don't think I was ever running that fast. And around the corner a couple minutes ago, it slowed down a lot. But it was definitely a big negative split. Like this whole stretch up here, I took the Strava segment from Walid Suleiman, who is our buddy who runs for the Beasts. It was a 4:39 average. So Walter he took me out pretty perfectly in like 4:50 pace, and I felt good enough to negative split, which is also just that strength, that aerobic strength. Like I feel like I'm running really fast, but I can always cut it down a little bit. But still, I do. It gets to me. Remember that 4 mile? It was a time trial on the track. Like when you were doing your Beasts, the year with the Beasts, and we initially moved to Seattle. Like that's the last time I was like really fit as a runner. And it was you had a 4 mile time trial, and I was like, oh, I'll pace you. Like it'll be pretty hard, good workout for me though. And you ran. Do you remember?
Just under 19 minutes, so like 18:58, so like 4:44 pace.
And you went ahead of me the last 400, but otherwise I was basically leading you out the whole time. And I ran, I think around 19. I think you were a little faster. I think you were like mid 1850s because I think I was 19 flat because I remember it being 4:45 pace, which would be going through 5K in about as fast as I ran here.
Yeah, it's weird because now that was so long ago, and you were so fit in like a completely different way than you are now. Now you're just this extreme aerobic monster, a lot slower, but like you could do that effort just as easily. Did you feel at this point or late into this effort, like, did it feel close to like 5K race pain on the track, or was it kind of more like that burn where you could just keep going for a while, but like it's not fun?
The track is a 5K on the track. I'll always maintain it's one of the most painful events that there are. Like like an 800, anyone who's running 800 on the track knows it's extremely physically painful. But by the time it really gets like that bad, you've got like
300 to go.
Exactly. And you fight through it. You're like, you can basically see the finish line for like most of the time that it really, really hurts. It's physically painful. The 5K is physically painful and mentally painful because it really starts hurting like halfway through. And
probably like 2K.
Yeah. So like 5 laps out of the 12 and a half on the track. And it's just so hard to wrap your head around like how much more you have to go versus here I'm like, I don't know, I've got 500 to go and like I can actually see the finish line like around the lake, and it's not like a number of laps in my head, it's just like get there. I've never felt the roads to feel nearly as hard as the track. Like there's just something about running a 5K on the track, maybe because you can run faster and you can, like, you're so close to your sort of theoretical max speed, whereas on the roads there's a little bit more wiggle room because you're not trying to hit splits within sort of a half a second. So this was, it was hurting. I mean, I was hurting a lot. It was all out. The workout was an all out 5K, so I was definitely hurting, but there's something just easier about being on the roads. I don't know if you can speak from like running that 10 mile, like, you know, doing a lot of 5Ks on the weekends, just like
it just doesn't feel as long. It goes by a lot quicker.
Yeah,
that's the main thing. You're not counting the laps. You're just, like you said, you're just running from one place to another, and you can just push hard for minutes, not like laps, and that definitely helps. This is also unbelievable footage, by the way. This is sick, and you look really smooth. Your form never really broke down at all during this.
Yeah, shout out Nate for mounting the GoPro on the back of the bike. I'm actually, so this loop is just under 5,200 meters, so I think I actually may have looked at my watch and that was 5K, like right there. So the whole thing ended up being like 15:20 or 15:15.
Did you get the Strava segment for this as well?
Yeah, I took it from Tom Anderson, who, of course, he was doing a workout. He's like a 13:35K guy. He was doing like a 2-lap workout or something like that. Kicking pretty hard here.
You're definitely hurting.
To the end. Oh, yeah. It was hurting for sure.
Your face has looked uncomfortable the whole time, though.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like that's, oh, and there we go. That's the end of there's like...
Oh, that was a smart place to start the loop.
Yeah, because that's the only place where you theoretically could get stopped. But, yeah, that was the 5K. A little bit of post 5K banter there. Shout out to Walter for the pace job. Shout out to Nate. Thank you for Lumen for sponsoring this video. Shout out couple.com as always. Thank you, Spencer, for coming into town and just talking shop over this video. I
want to quickly ask real quick, just to leave it on this. If you freshened up for this 5K effort, how much faster do you think you could go?
You mean like fully taper, like for,
yeah.
And like no, is it the same situation? Like I'm basically running solo?
Yeah, the same exact situation, but you know, your body's not like depleted.
I think I could probably get close to 14:20. Maybe 14:25. I'd give myself an extra 20 seconds. Because like the thing is, it's not... I mentioned earlier fatigue resistance, and that's maybe one of the biggest things in triathlon, like that you want to be good at. So like the taper definitely helps a lot, but I think my ability to get close to sort of that max in training is pretty good. I think for a 10K, like the longer it is, the more it matters. So I think for a 10K, I might, if I freshened up, it's possible I could run this twice.
Yeah,
run like a 29:30, maybe 29:40. I think definitely under 30. So, but what really matters is, can I run 108 off the bike? That's what we're training for. Can I run 5:15 per mile, which doesn't sound that fast compared to 4:45, but after 3 hours of racing, it feels pretty hard. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. That's it.
Yeah, we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah. All right.
Well, no, definitely a negative split too.
For you, yeah. For me, I went backwards, but good effort.
Yeah. Well, I haven't done as much run intensity this week.
This guy's fit. Watch out if you're racing Ironman 70.3 world champs.
I'm going to be definitely overtrained by then. Don't you worry.
Watch out.
Don't you worry. Everyone knows I put up numbers at Green Lake and then, you know. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to crush. I'm going to run a 108. Thanks, Walter, for pacing me through that first bit, and shout out Nate for filming. I've got to go hit a swim after this, and then I'm watching Jake Paul and Mike Tyson.
Oh, hell yeah.
So that's my day. That's my day. Thanks for following, everybody.